She lived her life in the limelight, something which she'd always wanted from being a 13-year-old girl mimicking Marilyn Monroe, but this was ultimately one of her biggest problems. Amy Winehouse obviously had numerous issues, which were not helped by the constant badgering from paparazzi, so do we, the public, have to take a step back and look at where it all went wrong for Amy Winehouse. Was it our fault as the public, knowing full well that Amy was struggling massively with addiction and with mental health? Was it the fault of the press, who rather than encouraging help and support, constantly ran her into the ground and used their issues as a way to sell a story? So this is the story of Amy Winehouse, if we were being honest. In 2003, Amy Winehouse released her debut album, Frank, and it was, frankly, a success. It gained traction, reaching number 13 in the UK chart, selling around 50,000 copies worldwide. This instant success, along with a move to Camden, London, is where the problems really did begin for Amy Winehouse. She was now living in an area where you could get heroin for as cheap as £10, along with a new boyfriend and a friendship group which included the likes of Pete Doherty. Issues were really going to follow. Heavy drug use, heroin, crack, whatever she could get her hands on, along with drink, was never going to be a good recipe, and it wasn't. Her relationship with Blake's older Civil was toxic, with constant fighting and breakups, causing Amy to take even more drugs. By the time the record label wanted her to release her second album, her trip to rehab was enforced, but it was seen as more of a formality and was never quite taken seriously. The record label essentially told Amy she had to record the album to stay, relevant, even though she was not in the mental state to do so. This obviously caused her to have relapses, and her mental health just declined rapidly. She was depressed, she was suffering with anxiety, along with constant fighting with Blakefield, a civil. Apparently in one fight he hit her with a bat, something she later spoke about live at Glastonbury. So then came Back to Black, her second album, arguably her most esteemed album. It included hits like Rehab and You Know I'm No Good, with the lyrics written by Amy herself, essentially a cry for help, and this was just ignored by everyone around her. On top of this, her grandmother died, one of the few people in Amy's life who would tell her straight how it is. So, with an ever-decreasing state of mental health, with anxiety and depression, along with several addictions, it was only getting worse for Amy Winehouse. After the second album was released, Amy suffered a seizure due to an overdose, and she was told by a doctor if she carried on taking drugs and she had another seizure, she would die. So she went back to rehab. However, she had just released a song called Rehab, and due to the lyrics, they tried to make me go to rehab, but I said no. Her boyfriend at the time, still Blake, mocked her, along with all of her friends. Nobody stopped them, and they were all making fun of Amy Winehouse going back to rehab, which caused her mental health to deplete further. Furthermore, her boyfriend was supplying her with drugs while she was in rehab, so the whole process was essentially pointless. Now, if you're not aware, Back to Black won numerous awards, Grammys, all sorts. But Amy was quoted saying, "This is so boring without drugs." And this was a woman in clear need of help. So how did people help? Amy Winehouse was exploited by the media, as every bad step she made was spread across the tabloids and all of the internet. They claimed it was a case of giving the people what they want. However, what the people should have wanted was for this incredibly talented woman to get well. She was forced to perform and release music despite being mentally and physically inept. Even the natural charisma which had got her into stardom in the first place, was drastically depleting. There was still a demand to see her perform, so she was forced to go out on the road. In a now infamous performance at Glastonbury, Amy struggled to sing the words to her own songs, told stories of when her ex-boyfriend hit her over the head with a bat and assaulted a member of the audience herself. The constant pressure, along with media persecution and friends who just didn't care, led Amy Winehouse to OD and die. Amy Winehouse died at 27 due to an overdose. Now a member of the 27 Club, along with Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix. Such a tragic loss of life should have been the wake-up call we all need to recognise that addiction and mental health needs to be taken seriously. And now her family have set up an organisation which helps people battling addiction. However, something should have been in place before to help Amy from suffering the way she did. I can't really put into words how tragic the death of Amy Winehouse is, because she was so talented. She was an incredible performer, a great singer and a great songwriter, and she will be, and she is, greatly missed. So on behalf of everyone watching this video, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Amy Winehouse. Cheers.